Hey guys, we are back here on PlayStation LiveCast, coming at you live from E3 2016. We're here in the PlayStation booth, and we are here with John and Chris from Ben's studio. Jeff. I was told you were Chris. You're Jeff.
They lied. I wish I was Chris.
They lied. I might have gotten confused. It happens. We're here to talk about Days Gone. This is the game that you guys have been working on for a while now, coming to PS4. Now, I mean, we saw a lot of this last night in the PlayStation E3 press conference. Tell me, I mean, is this sort of a reflection of like this popular love of like zombie culture? I mean, is that how you guys are coming at this?
No, it couldn't be further from the truth. So, we first and foremost, we're a big fan of open world games.
Yeah.
So what we really wanted to do was kind of create a game that was set in an open world, a dangerous open world. And to do that, we brainstormed a lot of ideas about what would make riding a bike through the high desert of the Pacific Northwest just super, super dangerous. And one of the, we're big fans of like World War Z.
Yeah.
We like the idea of having a lot of enemies on the screen.
Yep.
That's one of the things that, the power of the PS4 allows us to do.
Yep.
So, we kind of like how all this stuff kind of came together. So first thing I want to say is they're not zombies. Right?
Thank you for setting me straight.
Yes, they're freakers, and and it's like, okay, yeah, people looking at the demo last night probably are like, okay, yeah, it's another zombie game. Biggest difference is our freakers are alive, right? So it's an infection. If depending on how old you were when you were infected, it alters you in a different way.
And
so,
more importantly, they're alive in that they have needs and rules, and
oh yeah,
they have a cycle that they live by, and that really informs a lot of the open world sandbox gameplay, the way that they understanding how they behave and what they need.
Yeah,
and
so different behaviors.
Clear.
Right? So like in the demo, you saw Deacon came across a newt. So newts are adolescents when they were infected, and they're opportunistic. They run away from you unless they feel like they can get the jump on you, or if your health is down, then you have to kind of watch the rooftops. So that they're one type, the Horde is another type, and there's several more in the game.
Fascinating. Yeah, you guys really are, I think, trying to kind of re-examine some of these sort of tropes that we see out there a lot. Bring something new and fresh. That's awesome. Another thing that really caught my eye, and we're seeing some great footage here. Game is a looker, no doubt about it. I'm really interested in sort of the world and the protagonists themselves. What can you tell me about the protagonists?
Yeah, so at the end of the day, what we really wanted to do was tell a story the kind of story that we like to enjoy. So, we love all kinds of, things like Sons of Anarchy. We were fans of that. And, that kind of protagonist, what he represents to us is brotherhood and camaraderie and just loyalty. So, that kind of brought to it, but also the skill set, right? Like, how, the kinds of things that a biker would know how to do, like riding the bike.
We're seeing some of that right now, actually.
The love of the open road. I mean, that's a huge part of the game.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to settle down in the encampments. He refuses to. Because the MC's all gone except for, you saw in the trailer, he's got like one friend left. And just, his ability to like stay alive.
Yeah, and it's not a game about bike culture or about a biker gang. It's about a guy who was a biker before everything fell apart. And he's struggling to fit into this new world. But that skill set he had, that badass skill set, kind of has a purpose. Here, it's got a value as a bounty hunter and as mercenary. There's a lot of people in this world who need things. They need vengeance, and he's just the guy to help deliver it for them.
Yeah.
So, in being the outsider, it's not about him being a biker so much as somebody who's on the outside trying to understand where he fits, on the inside and how he fits there, and the conflict that breeds, and the way that it motivates a lot of his jobs and missions.
And you can see that in the trailer, right? So, the demo is action-packed. It's got these, huge, vast numbers of freakers that you're fighting. But in the trailer, I hope it kind of came across that what we're trying to do is tell a much more sort of human story. So,
yeah.
So Deacon has, he feels loss, he feels regret, not just everything that happens in the world, but deep personal loss as well. And, the story is really about what happened to him, how did he become this way, and what does his future hold?
So tell me a little bit about the environment that we're exploring. I mean, the game is set in the Pacific Northwest, if I'm not mistaken. Where you guys are from,
Yeah, so Bend, Oregon. And our fictional town is Farewell, Oregon, and the original name for Bend was, in like 1900, was Farewell Bend, because that's where the Oregon Trail kind of split.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so, but when you think of Pacific Northwest, you think of Seattle, rain, forest, and what most people don't know is that 80% of Oregon is actually high desert.
I did not know that.
It's on the other side of the Cascade Range, and same thing with Washington, Northern California. It's all very, very harsh environment because we're high elevation and a lot of different kinds of environments. Everything you saw in the trailer is real. You can ride your bike through those areas, you can explore, you have dense forests, you have desert areas, you have lava tube caves, all created by sort of volcanic activity over the last million years.
Yeah, it's not all hipsters and exotic donuts.
And Starbucks coffee.
Yeah.
I'm glad to know that. That would be the maybe the worst apocalypse of all. So here we are, we're seeing a horde. I can only imagine that it's got to be a real technical struggle to animate these many characters on screen at once.
Oh, and we have,
look at that.
We have a studio of about 100 people and just some really, really talented engineers who were able to work, using the power of the Unreal Engine and a lot of our own code. Because every single one of those guys is real. It's not like it's not like we have a few active guys in the front of the horde.
And then some sprites kind of bobbing
it's like
around.
Every single one of those guys. And when you watch,
look at that.
When you watch Jeff play the demo last night, he played it one way. You could literally play this demo any way you want.
Yeah.
You're going to see me kind of go inside the building here. You could go left, you could go right, you could go straight. You could just take your chances anyway.
This is awesome. And I mean, again, I've just never seen such a quantity of creatures. They look great too, but it's very that's very disconcerting getting that vision. I don't know what I would do if I was in that situation. It's very upsetting. So very, very cool.
Early on in the game, you run for your life.
Yeah,
yes.
I can imagine. And a little earlier, we saw one of those newts you were talking about.
Yeah.
Super creepy. Geez, this is really intense here. I wasn't able to see every second during the press conference, so this is fun for me to get a closer look. Bam. Good stuff, good stuff. So, obviously Deacon is a former biker, he's a biker. How will the bikes impact the gameplay? I mean, other than the ability to ride.
It's an important character and tool for the player. It's his bike. He doesn't have throwaway bikes. It's his ride. It's his steed, and he can upgrade it and improve it and make it something that helps him be more capable in the field and carry things out of the field. So it's
awesome.
It was part of his life before, and it's part of his personality now. It's just a different style bike with a different purpose.
Yeah, because a lot of open world games, basically vehicles are disposable. You
Yeah.
just grab one, you ride it, or whatever. That's not the way our game works, because number one, the roads are broken, right? So we have, bridges are out, and you do a lot of off-roading, so you can't get cars around the world very easily. So there are other vehicles in the game, but like Jeff was saying, it's like the bike is almost like another character. And
Like the trusty steed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Are you going to be able to upgrade or maintain the bike in various ways, or?
Yeah, we're not going into a ton of detail about that, but yeah, one of the things we really sort of wanted to do was ground the game.
Yeah.
So it's very realistic. We didn't want it to be kind of a chore for the player, but yeah, there's definitely some aspects of, what you would expect to, if you were thinking to yourself, what would I do in a post-apocalyptic world where everything's trying to kill me? We kind of wanted to try to deliver on that.
That's awesome. So we're still seeing this horde, and this is really an awesome set piece. And you were talking a little bit about alternate paths. I'm told that there are, there's traps, there's gadgets, there's crafting. Tell me a little bit about how that factors in here to Days Gone.
Well, so Deacon, he's kind of an everyman, and what do we like? We like to duct tape stuff together and feel like heroes, right?
Yeah.
We like to solve problems with duct tape. And
it started with Ripley and Aliens, I think.
Yeah. So he's a MacGyver in this world, and he really kind of has to. There's what he knows and then what he can learn, and the ability to kind of make things out of what's around the world. The ability to turn an airbag into a bomb and combine disposed electronics as proximity mines. Are all tools he learns just to kind of stitch these things together really quick and use them as tools against the horde and against other enemies.
And down in the theater demo today, there's an extended version of what you saw last night.
Awesome.
That has alternate paths, and it shows a lot of that. And it's what we're calling it is brutal sandbox combat, because what you can do is like Jeff was saying, it's like what the player wants to do. We try to empower that. So, when you're fighting the horde, there's just, you can, depending on what you bring into that encounter, you can take them on almost any way you want.
That's awesome. Now, one thing I did notice, and maybe it's just me, and I'm kind of extrapolating a little bit about the freakers that you mentioned earlier. They're still technically alive, so they're not
They are alive.
dead.
No,
yeah,
they are alive.
They are alive. So, is this a game where headshots are necessary to take down one of these freakers? I mean, that's a classic sort of zombie trope. It looked to me like maybe that wasn't the case here, but I might be wrong.
No, see, it's not about because they're living creatures.
Yeah.
In fact, one of the terms that Jeff coined is the freakosystem, because if the player were to just kind of wander around and just use stealth and kind of watch them, you'll see swarmers attacking the newts, right? So you have this, they're interacting with each other because they're trying to stay alive too. They're trying to eat, they're trying to drink, they're trying to stake out territory or whatever. So, yeah, you could take a headshot certainly, but if you shoot them in the heart, they'll die just as quickly.
That's fascinating. That's a really interesting take on that. And I mean, clearly, you guys have a very different vision compared to whether it's The Walking Dead or something like that. But I'm curious. Zombie culture is really big. I'm curious what it is about themes like some of the ones that we see here in Days Gone. What make those so appealing to so many people over such a long period of time?
Oh, to me, I think it begins with just some latent fears we all have about our own future. The way that we're draining resources. I think for me personally, when Katrina hit, I realized, oh man, we're all alone out there.
Yeah.
Like when shit goes down, we got a government infrastructure, but it's probably not for us. It's probably for some people, and so I personally trace kind of the outbreak of the zombie genre kind of to that era, and I think nobody can put their finger on it, but it's just, I think we all realize we're alone, and we have to learn how to make do for ourselves and look out for ourselves and our friends and our families, because nobody else is going to do it. And that's how Deacon and the few survivors survived, is they didn't wait for the government to come rescue them. They did it themselves. And everybody else who went to government checkpoints, they probably died.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a smart move.
And I think the most powerful experiences, whether it's film or games, is all about conflict, and there's nothing more hazardous and dangerous in a world that's literally filled with things that want to kill you. And so I think that kind of builds drama into any situation.
Yeah,
if you're facing that.
Yeah, I would never want to face that. That is terrifying. And again, it's such a fresh array of features that you guys are bringing to some concepts that we've seen before, but now we're seeing them from a very different perspective. Really excited about Days Gone. I know you guys are still deep in development on this one. Are you flirting with a release time frame at all? Do you have any idea when this game's coming out?
Yeah, we have some vague, we're not talking about that right now, but one of the things that we really love about being part of Sony is that they really want the game to be awesome. So like we said, we've been working on this game for over 3 years, and it just allows us time to develop every part of it, the character and the and the world and the setting, and it's just been really awesome to have the time to make the best game we can.
Guys, I appreciate it so much. Thank you for coming by PlayStation LiveCast. Really, game's looking fantastic.
Thanks for having us, man.
Yeah, absolutely one of my standouts of the show. We are going to hear more about Days Gone in the days to come, I think.
PlayStation